Do you ever feel off? We all have days where we're in a funk or in a bad mood, but what about when it stretches into weeks or months or longer? And I'm not talking about depression or a clinical mood disorder, but just carrying a persistent feeling that something isn't quite right. Maybe it's a lingering sense of anger, a tendency towards sadness, or a nagging voice of self blame. Our emotions are sacred messengers, and that's what we are diving into today. We're turning up the volume on those inner voices and exploring the hidden landscapes of stored trauma, repeating patterns, and the emotional themes that shape your life, often without you even realizing it. Awareness is the key, my friend, the gentle turning of the key that unlocks the door to your healing. This isn't just about understanding why you feel the way you do. It's about taking the first powerful step towards transforming your emotional baseline. Imagine moving from a persistent blah to a life filled with joy, hope, and authentic happiness. Ready to embark on this journey with me? Trust me, you'll want to hear every minute of this episode. It's time to open your eyes and your heart to what's really going on inside. Let's begin. Welcome to Jotindi, Journey to the Inner Divine, a sacred space for healing energy, emotional release, and soulful transformation. If you're ready to live with joy, ease, and purpose, you're in the right place. Today, we are going to expose some of those things you may not be looking for, maybe not even ready for. But I would venture to guess that if you're here, you're most likely looking for some answers. So today, we are going to find some. Some of our past episodes have given you tools to help put out emotional fires and to kickstart your healing journey. But if you've missed this step, those tools might not be packing the biggest punch possible for you. Today, we're diving into awareness, unveiling the hidden patterns that you may have overlooked that could be keeping you stuck. Awareness is like a map. It shows you where you are and where you keep looping back to. Without awareness, you're driving blind. You might stumble on some healing moments by luck, but it's slow and frustrating, and it often feels like wandering in circles. Awareness creates choice. Once you're able to see the pattern clearly, you no longer can pretend that it is not there. And that's why a lot of people prefer the darkness. They don't have to face what's in it. It's easier to keep pretending that there's nothing in the darkness with you because once you shine a light on it, it doesn't go away. That's powerful because it creates a moment of choice. Before awareness, you're reacting, you're on autopilot. After awareness, you can pause and breathe and decide whether to continue the old pattern or to try something new. And this is very scary for a lot of people. Many people don't want to have that choice. They don't want to open that can of worms because then there's worms everywhere and they have to clean it up or live in a wormy mess. And it can be a big undertaking. But I'm of the belief that at the bottom of that can of worms is the paradise that you've been dreaming of. And maybe this is a terrible metaphor if you have a worm phobia, but you get the idea. Awareness also opens the door to a deeper healing. Healing isn't just about the mind. It involves your nervous system, your body, and your spirit. Awareness tells you what needs tending to, what parts of yourself require nurturing, where you need to give yourself a little extra grace. It's like a flashlight, shining on the wound so you know exactly where to focus the healing. Without it, you'd be applying healing practices blindly, not knowing what you're actually addressing. And one important caveat in all of this is that awareness does not equal healing, and that's okay. Many people confuse awareness with resolution. They think if I just know why I do this, then I'll stop doing it. But unfortunately, that is not how the body or your subconscious works. You can know that you're choosing the same kind of partner or that anger flares up when you feel unseen. But unless you process the emotion and release the stored energy, pattern will repeat. I had a moment of awareness recently. I noticed that a specific pattern that I had created in my past relationships was popping up. It caused me a lot of problems because I was with other equally unhealed partners in the past. And now that I'm in a relationship with someone who has some emotional intelligence, I've been able to dig deeper into my patterns to really heal them. Anyway, I had some awareness. I could see myself reacting and recreating this pattern that I didn't like. I talked to my support system about it. I tried to uncover the root cause of the issue, but it kept repeating. Then one day I had an aha moment. I realized that there was a whole host of other experiences from my childhood that I was in denial about. And when I was able to shine a light on that and finally admit to myself that the root cause of this issue was multifaceted, not based on one specific event, but on a complex trauma that had repeated for years growing up, that I had been discounting the severity of, then I was able to release it. So, why does self awareness matter so much in healing? Like I mentioned, self awareness acts as a light that reveals what's hidden in the dark. Without it, we stay stuck in cycles of feeling off, but never really knowing why or what to do about it. Awareness creates the possibility for change, even before taking action. And possibility is huge. Possibility gives us hope. It allows us to see that things won't be like this forever, that our future isn't bleak. Change is on the way, and it is better than you could ever imagine. So, let's talk a little bit about how trauma gets stored in the mind and body. Trauma isn't just the big events, it's anything that's unprocessed that lingers. The definition of trauma is a physical injury, such as a wound, or a psychological wound caused by a severe, distressing, or upsetting experience that results in lasting mental or emotional impairment. Now, there are 3 types of trauma that you should know about. The first 2 you will hear many people in the healing space refer to as big T and little t trauma. Big T trauma is one big, huge event that creates a lasting impression where you believed that your life, your safety, or somebody around you was in danger. This could be something like witnessing a terrible accident, being in a car accident, being assaulted, something like that, some kind of big one time event. Small t trauma refers to everyday, non life threatening events that can still have a significant impact on a person's emotional well being. This could be something like witnessing a car accident of a stranger, having a job loss, going through a breakup, being bullied, or struggling with financial hardship. And the third type of trauma is chronic or complex trauma. Complex trauma refers to a condition that arises from repeated and prolonged exposure to traumatic events, typically in early childhood, that significantly impacts a person's psychological and emotional well being. Complex trauma is usually interpersonal in nature, meaning that it stems from a caregiver, a family member, like a parent, or a trusted person. And it can happen when we grow up in an abusive household and are in constant fear for our safety or the safety of our loved ones. It could be from neglect, war, or abusive romantic relationships, those types of ongoing situations. Now, when we experience trauma, our bodies react. They dump hormones that prepare us to fight or flee. Our muscles tense up in anticipation. We brace for impact. Sometimes we sustain an injury and build scar tissue. And even when the trauma is emotional or mental, our bodies will still react. They still hold the memory of what happened, even if your mind forgets. So, for example, if you have been trying to shrink yourself, to stay invisible, to avoid abuse, you might develop poor posture and shoulder or back pain as a result. That's an example of the trauma being stored in your body. And this is called somatic memory. The word somatic refers to the body as opposed to the mind. And somatic memory is the body's storage of experiences, particularly traumatic ones, in the form of physical sensations, postures, or movements. These are emotional imprints on our physical body. We are connected beings, and unfortunately, we can't fully separate our mental or emotional and physical bodies. They're intimately connected, and that means trauma to one will have an impact on the other. But also, healing one has an impact on the other. It's like I mentioned in my previous episodes when you heal one part of a system, you heal the whole. And this means that whether you focus on healing your mind or focus on healing your body, you're going to be making forward progress either way. No act of self care or healing is ever wasted. So, tying all of this into the topic of today's episode, feeling off can be a signal of stored trauma or unresolved emotional energy. We often go through life totally unaware of what's happening in ourselves or how our physical symptoms may be linked to our past experiences or how our emotional baseline and the thoughts we think are linked to all of this as well. When we're able to open our mind to the possibility that our physical malaise may be tied to unresolved emotions, then we can open the doorway to true healing. One example I have from myself is I had a shoulder injury pop up about 11 years ago. It has been chronic and very, very painful. I did all the tests with all the doctors, and although they found some abnormal things in there, they said nothing should be causing me the level of pain that I'm experiencing. I had an injection, it didn't help, and they basically said, sorry, don't know what to do about it. So I've just been living with the shoulder pain. And I believe in spiritual significance of specific pain points in your body. And the left shoulder is often associated with our ability to receive love, energy, and support. Pain in the left shoulder is often linked to unresolved grief, challenges related to caregiving or nurturing relationships. And the funny thing is that this pain popped up right after my father passed away from cancer. I spent 2 years living with him and helping take care of him during his final days. And so it makes sense that this pain would pop up right after that because I was totally overwhelmed by the caregiver role. And once he passed, there was still a few unresolved issues from my childhood that I've been holding on to. Once I faced those head on, the pain started to subside. It was like I had funneled all the pain from my relationship with my dad into my left shoulder. And once I was able to heal the relationship, the shoulder no longer needed to try to get my attention. And I'm not sure that the pain is totally gone or that it will be gone forever, but it is certainly feeling much better since I processed that trauma around my dad. So, we have talked about what awareness is and the importance of it, what trauma is and how trauma is stored in your body. And now I want to take things even deeper. One thing that will help you on your quest for awareness is learning to recognize patterns. This might even be the key that you are needing to identify your biggest sticking points. If you're struggling to find awareness, you can start by identifying repeating themes that keep popping up in your life. For example, maybe you keep dating men who are emotionally unavailable or workaholics. Maybe you keep switching jobs because you constantly land in toxic work environments, but it seems like no matter how hard you try, you keep getting stuck in jobs where you're severely undervalued by your boss. The details of the situation will be different, so it can be easy to overlook the theme of it. But the overarching theme, the part of the situation that triggers a deep seated emotional response, is the same. It's that your chosen partner just can't give you what you desire. It's that no matter how hard you try, your boss makes you feel small and unseen. Those are the types of patterns to look for. Was a caregiver that you had as a child too wrapped up in their own life to give you the care and attention that you needed? Did it seem like no matter what you did, no matter how many awards you won, or how many A's on your report card, your parents just didn't seem to notice or care? These emotional triggers and repeating patterns are linked to past experiences that were painful for you. So, on some subconscious level, you may be repeating them in order to have a different outcome. To heal this pattern, because healing it this time around will somehow heal it through time and give your younger self the relief that they so desperately seek. So I ask you now, where in your life do you keep ending up in the same emotional place, even if the people or circumstances look different? Get out a journal if you can right now. You can free write or you can make a list, but see if there's something bothering you currently that you can trace back to another similar themed event. Even if you're not ready to trace it all the way back to the beginning, identifying current patterns can be very healing. You can bring this to a coach or another trusted professional who can help you make sense of it and gently guide you down the path to break the cycle. Now, here are some emotional themes to watch for. This is important because a lot of people tend to overlook what's really going on in their lives. So listen for anything that might sound familiar. First is anger or irritability. And what this looks like is snapping at people, feeling constantly on edge, or that everything pisses me off. And this is often tied to powerlessness or betrayal in the past. Anger is a protective response. It covers vulnerability and hurt. When someone hasn't felt safe or respected, their system may default to anger as a way of keeping control. I experienced this right after buying my first house. I should have felt powerful and in control, but I actually ended up feeling like I was losing control of my life. I'm a free spirit, and being a homeowner meant that I had to put my travels on hold. Also, sharing the house with my family meant that I wasn't in full control of how it was decorated. And I know that sounds like I'm a total control freak, but it was how I was feeling at the time, and I just felt super out of control. This anger is often tied to the solar plexus, or the center of your personal power, boundaries, and self confidence. The next is sadness, guilt, or self blame. And what this looks like is always feeling like everything is my fault, or a heavy sadness that shadows your daily life. It's often connected to grief, abandonment, or shame. Sometimes it comes from growing up in environments where the person had to take responsibility for other people's emotions, like a child trying to protect their parents' feelings instead of the other way around. This theme tends to point toward the heart center and can signal unhealed grief, unmet needs for love and acceptance. Next, we have anxiety or constant worry. And this could look like racing thoughts, the need to control everything, or overthinking every little decision. This may be tied to a fear of uncertainty or lack of safety. It can develop from chaotic or unpredictable environments where your nervous system had to stay on guard, like the body trying to prepare for threats that aren't actually happening. This energetic tie is to your root chakra, the center of safety, stability, and belonging. Next up, we've got numbness or detachment. And this could be feeling shut down, not able to access your emotions, or going through your life on autopilot. This often points to dissociation or survival coping. It's the nervous system's way of protecting from overwhelm. So instead of fight or flight, your body goes into freeze. It signals unresolved pain that felt like too much to process at the time. So it just stops processing. This is tied energetically to your throat chakra and sometimes your crown chakra. Dissociation is like your soul pulling upward and away. The throat can close off to emotion, and the crown may disconnect you from your body. Next, we have shame or feeling not good enough. This could show up as constant comparison, perfectionism, or self criticism. Usually, this is connected to core wounds of rejection, criticism, or neglect. Shame energy gets stored in the body as a contraction. People shrink themselves or avoid opportunities because they believe deep down they're unworthy. This energetic tie is to your sacral chakra, the center of identity, creativity, and worth. And last up, we have overpositivity, or people who are always fine. Always upbeat on the outside, they never let themselves feel or show negative emotions. They're always giggling or joking or acting like nothing is bothering them at all. This might be a mask over deeper pain. Sometimes people were taught emotions weren't safe or acceptable, so they just bypassed the anger and sadness with forced positivity. But deep down, this keeps them disconnected from authentic healing because they never really get in touch with the emotions that are harder to deal with. This energetic tie is to your third eye chakra. And this theme often shows up when someone uses mental control to bypass the body. The third eye is powerful, but when it dominates without balance, emotions are pushed down. Healing means allowing your intuition and your authenticity to flow without spiritual bypassing. If this sounds like something that you're struggling with, I highly recommend listening to my episode on spiritual bypassing after you listen to this one. Now, when going through this whole process, I really need you to remember that these are not flaws, they're signals. When we notice our go-to emotional theme, we start to understand the deeper healing that we're being called to. That doesn't mean that anything is wrong with you. This is not a call to feel shame. This is a call to hear the parts of yourself that have been silenced, to embrace them with the same love and care that you would have for a child, because that's what they are. They're younger parts of you, and they are in need of love and care, not punishment. Now, I'd like to give you some tools for finding the awareness that we've been talking about. Remember, we're not trying to fix anything just yet. We're just getting in touch with all the parts of ourselves that are needing to be heard. Since you probably have a journal out already, I'm going to give you a few journaling prompts that you can write on that will help you uncover these emotional themes. Number 1, what emotions come up most often for me? Are you feeling irritated often? Do you tend towards sadness or rage? What emotions do you notice that keep popping up regularly for you? Number 2, when do I feel most off? What's usually happening around me? So take a few moments, think about the circumstances around you when you feel off. Who is there or not there? What's been going on at work? Do you feel something different? Has something different happened in your daily routine? And number 3, what situations in my life feel like deja vu? Like I feel like I've been here before. When you get in an argument with someone, does a past argument flash in your mind? When you're feeling frustrated, does it remind you of another time when you were frustrated? Make a mental note of situations that remind you of past ones and write them down. And finally, you can follow up with a short meditation. I'd like to invite you to place a hand on your heart, take a deep breath in, and simply ask yourself, body, what are you holding for me today? Do a body scan from head to toe and see what feels tight, what feels achy, what feels warm, what feels cold, and write it down. Remember, awareness is the first step. This is the healing that you can do on your own. Once you've done this, you can download a copy of the Clarity Map, which is my free resource to help you uncover what has been keeping you stuck and what the next steps are. You can get yours at mariaharoura.com/freebie/clarity map or at the link in the show notes. The Clarity Map is the perfect place to start. Once you've explored the areas where you're feeling stuck, you can schedule a free heart-to-heart conversation with me to determine where your path will lead next. And remember, you don't have to fix everything all at once. Recognizing stored trauma and the emotional themes is already a huge step toward healing. And when you heal one part, you have a positive effect on the system as a whole. So let's figure out what you can focus on first that will have the biggest impact on your life. And I'd like to also remind you to be gentle with yourself. Keep listening to this podcast for more guidance on your healing journey. And if you're not ready to dig in and do the Clarity Map, you can take one small step in the right direction and join my free Facebook group where you connect with other like-minded women on the path to healing and connection. Just visit facebook.com/groups/JoTindy, or you can click the link in the show notes. What we talked about today is so powerful. Just being here today is going to help you to unlock the life of joy and happiness that you've been dreaming of. So help spread the love and share this episode with someone because you never know who needs healing the most. Thank you for spending this time with me today. And don't forget, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path.